Thing that we do leading up to the time that they sit down in the seat counts. And here's what's crazy. Here's what's even more crazy to me. Not only do people decide if they're coming back to this church after the first 11 minutes, they actually decide whether or not I'm worth listening to in the first 11 minutes.
He tells people that he's a pastor, they take a step back. That freaks me out because that's hard to make friends if you can't show your personality if somebody steps back for just your job. You know?
So it's like a culture shock, being somewhere where like I barely saw any churches here at all.
They have to search for people to come to their church and do more mission work because they want to lead more people to Christ.
All year with a desire, right? Kids have a hunger for baptism, their church has a hunger to reach people.
Some of the stuff that we see is because of mission teams like yours that have come out and worked with us in the past. Our small group that we met in tonight, the small group home, it's right behind the high school where we meet for church, and they actually got a coffee last year and a flyer for Easter, and it could have been.
I was just standing there, and at first I thought this was going to be the worst thing in the world. It was so cold, and I was just standing there shivering. But in the end, I thought I had a different outlook on it than I did in the beginning.
Then I had wrapped the flyer around the cup, and so when she grabbed it, she looked at it and she's like, "Oh my goodness, what is this?" And I was like, "Well, we're here on behalf of Livingstone Church and whatever, that they meet right over here at Legacy High School." And she's like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yes, ma'am." And she was like, "So they're putting on an Easter egg hunt and a Sunday worship service on Easter?" I was like, "Yes." And she's like, "Oh my goodness, I've been praying about a new church home for me and my kids and my family.
Our love is driven by God's love for us. And so to love other people is to want them to know God and to want them to know the things of God. And so by loving them, it's not always acceptance or approval. It's what can I do for them that will most show them who God is and draw them in closer relationship.
Doing things when we walked around the college, I was with Kennedy, so she kind of did a few of them before I did any. So she kind of showed me how to do, and it was just it's helpful to have her there. But it was some of those kids were actually kind of interested in doing it. It was kind of just helpful that they were kind of into it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, the first person that I actually talked to, she had heard about it, and so she was actually excited. She was like, "Yeah, my friends are in this and stuff." So it's encouraging to know that people are actually kind of getting it.
And one of the coolest things that I have seen in a long time was watching an entire line of kids say, "I can't wait to be baptized. Oh, it's so cool to be baptized. Being baptized is amazing." And for us as youth, we're kind of okay, such and such is getting baptized. It almost gets routine. But these are people that, you got to think about it from this, 6-year-old, 7-year-old that's going to go to school, and they're going to say, "I got baptized." And then all their friends are going to go, "Well, what is that? What does that mean?" And they're going to rattle off what baptism is and why it's cool and what it means to accept Jesus. And, they have this just desire to learn. And I think it's a lot because of the environment they're in, where they're going to be way different and stand out.
And I wanted to go on this trip because it sounded pretty fun, and I'm about to go off to college, so I kind of wanted to throw myself out.
I felt like it was a good opportunity to serve others.
College campuses tend to be a pretty difficult place for churches to reach. Lots of reasons for that, but it just is. So we come to campuses and try to provide things on campus to keep people growing in their faith, or to even share the gospel for the first time with people on campuses.
Warm or feel a little awkward whenever talking to people.
You go.
You're awesome. You're right on point. Because we only worry about ourselves.
Yeah.
Almost people.
It's definitely uncomfortable because when I was doing the college thing with Kelsey, it was we had to walk up to people and then tell them, and you're just I never do that, so it's kind of out of my comfort zone to do that.
You mean you're 12 years old and you don't normally walk up to 20-year-olds and ask them if they know God?
It's just awkward. It's just really awkward, but
I always felt like I was interrupting stuff.
Yeah, but I kind of feel more confident now that I do that, so it kind of helped a little bit.
Putting the Easter invitations indoors, and there's this last house and I put it under like the doormat so like you could see it. But there were just so many like hateful signs around there, and like so like discriminatory and just like so hateful. And it was just like we were sort of like talking about it, and I just thought like man, that person is like so bitter, but like God loves that person so much, and like he doesn't love us more than he loves them, and that's just like mind blowing.
Just picture this: in this area, 80% of all non-Christians know a Christian, but only 11% believe that a Christian has anything more or does anything different than they do.
How people just see the difference in us, not only with our shirts, but the way we act. Like as Christians, we're supposed to be, almost alien, like different from everyone else, the rest of the world.
Walk and not let like the Bible be just spoon-fed to us. We need to dive into it by ourselves and have our alone time with God instead of just Sundays and Wednesdays.
If we can't see God, how can we go about it and go to a mission trip and say, oh, I love God so much, and then go back home and go back to not loving your neighbor, which you see every day, which you talk to, see in the hallways, or whatever the case may be.
But what's cool is like God knows the people that needed those flyers. He knew the people that you needed to connect with. And so we're praying that God would, even now, even tonight, maybe see some of those flyers that they've kept or held on to, or maybe they're in their cars and they see them tomorrow morning and something will stir them to come to church on Sunday. But every single touch point counts.